I'm going to tell you something that might sting. You don't have a trading problem. You have a self-control problem. And until you understand the difference, you're going to keep experiencing the same nightmare over and over. Here's what I mean. You trade well for a week, maybe 2 weeks if you're lucky. You follow every rule. You're disciplined, focused, making progress. Your account grows. You start thinking, this is finally it. You figured it out. You're on your way. Then something happens. Could be a big win that makes you feel invincible. Could be two losses that make you desperate. Could be a boring day that makes you impulsive. Doesn't matter what triggers it. What matters is what comes next. You break your rules. You change your approach. You start making decisions based on how you feel instead of what your plan says. And within days, sometimes within hours, everything you built collapses. You're back where you started, frustrated, confused, telling yourself that next time will be different, but it never is. Because next time, you show up as the same inconsistent version of yourself that destroyed your progress last time. I lived this cycle for 3 years, built my account up 11 times, watched it fall apart 11 times, and every single time I blamed something external. The market changed. My strategy stopped working. I got unlucky. But that was all lies. The real problem was me. I wasn't the same trader from one day to the next. I was a different person depending on my emotions. And different people get different results. Today I'm going to show you why consistency is so brutally difficult, why your emotions keep hijacking your execution, and exactly how to build systems that make you the same trader every single day, regardless of what you're feeling. This is the most important skill in trading, not technical analysis, not strategy selection, the ability to show up as the same disciplined version of yourself, whether you won yesterday or lost yesterday, whether you're confident or terrified, whether the market is exciting or boring. Let's get into it. Let me paint you a picture. Two traders, same strategy, same starting capital, same market conditions. After 6 months, one is up 30%. The other is flat, break even at best. Why? The strategy works. We know it works because Trader 1 is proving it works. So what's the difference? Let me show you their weeks side by side, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Trader 1, let's call him Alex. Monday morning rolls around. Alex had a great Friday, won his last trade, closed the week in profit. He's feeling good, confident. So when he sits down Monday, he's loose. Instead of waiting for his planned setups, he takes 6 trades. All of them marginal. None of them really meet his criteria, but they look close enough. He's risking double his normal size because, hey, he's on a roll, right? By end of day, he's down 4%. Most of those trades were trash. He knows it. But in the moment, confidence made them look better than they were. Tuesday comes. Now Alex is nervous. He lost Monday, so he's scared. His actual setup appears, the one he's been waiting for. But he hesitates. What if this one loses too? He talks himself out of it, watches it run without him. Now he's angry, takes a revenge trade on something that isn't even close to his plan, stops out, down another 2%. Wednesday, he's exhausted, emotionally drained. The market is slow. Nothing's really setting up. But he can't just do nothing. That would feel like wasting time. So he forces 3 trades just to feel productive. 2 of them lose. He's now down 7% for the week. Thursday and Friday, he barely trades. Too scared after the damage he did earlier in the week. His best setups appear, and he skips them because he's protecting what's left. By Friday close, he's down 8% for the week and mentally destroyed. Now let me show you Trader 2. Let's call him Jordan. Same market, same week, Monday morning. Jordan had a great Friday too. But when he sits down Monday, he doesn't care about Friday. He goes through his preparation routine like he does every single morning, reviews his levels, checks the news, writes down his plan. Then he opens his platform. His rule is simple. Maximum 3 trades per day. Every trade risks exactly 1%. No exceptions based on how he feels. Monday, 2 setups appear that match all his criteria. Not most of his criteria, all of it. He takes both. One wins 1%, one loses 1%. He's flat for the day, no emotion about it. Just data. Tuesday, 1 clean setup. Takes it, wins 1%. up 1% for the day, journals it, closes the platform. Wednesday, nothing appears that matches his criteria. He watches the market for 90 minutes, takes 0 trades, closes his platform, goes to the gym. He's completely fine with this because doing nothing was the right decision. Thursday, 3 setups appear, takes all 3. 2 win, 1 loses, up 1% for the day. Friday, 2 setups, both lose, down 2% for the day. He journals both trades, reviews what happened. No emotion, no revenge trading, no changing his approach, just execution and documentation. End of week, Jordan is up 1%, not a lot, but consistent. And more importantly, his behavior was identical Monday through Friday. Same preparation, same rules, same execution. Winning day or losing day didn't change how he showed up. After 6 months of this pattern, Jordan is up 30%. Not because his strategy is better than Alex's. They have the exact same strategy. Jordan is profitable because his behavior doesn't change. Alex's behavior changes every single day based on his emotions. And emotions create chaos. Consistency creates compounding. So why is being Jordan so hard? Why can't you just decide to be consistent and then do it? Because your brain is working against you. And until you understand how, you can't fight it. Your brain has a feature called recency bias. It means your brain overweights recent events and underweights everything before. This is survival wiring. In most situations, this adaptation helps you. If you touched a hot stove yesterday, your brain makes damn sure you remember that today, so you don't do it again. But in trading, this wiring destroys you, because trading is probabilistic. Any single trade tells you almost nothing about whether your strategy works. You can execute perfectly and lose 3 times in a row. That's variance. That's normal. Your edge plays out over hundreds of trades, not 3, but your brain doesn't see it that way. Your brain sees 3 losses and screams danger. Something's wrong. Fix this now. Change something. Do something different. And that's when you start tinkering. You adjust your stop placement. You change your position size. You modify your entry criteria. You're trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist. And in doing so, you create the actual problem. Inconsistent execution. Here's another way your brain sabotages you. After you win, discipline feels effortless. You trust your system. You're confident. Taking the next trade is easy. But after you lose, discipline feels impossible. You doubt everything. You second-guess every setup. You either skip the good ones because you're scared, or you force bad ones because you're desperate to recover. The strategy didn't change. The market didn't change. You changed. And when you change, consistency disappears. This is the real consistency problem. It's not that you don't know what to do. It's that you can't do what you know under different emotional conditions. Think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to drive a car, but the steering wheel randomly changes how sensitive it is. Sometimes you turn it a little and the car barely moves. Other times you turn it the same amount and you're swerving into the other lane. That's what inconsistent behavior does to your trading. Your strategy might be fine, but your execution is all over the place, so your results are unpredictable. The market doesn't care which version of you shows up, but your account does. When you're confident, Alex, you overtrade and blow up. When you're scared, Alex, you miss opportunities and stagnate. When you're bored, Alex, you force trades that aren't there. You need to be the same trader regardless of what happened yesterday or how you feel today. And that requires something most traders never build: systems. Here's what doesn't work: telling yourself you're going to be disciplined, making promises to yourself that this time will be different, relying on willpower to execute your plan. Willpower fails. Always, eventually. It's a finite resource that gets depleted throughout the day. Think about willpower like a battery. You wake up and it's full. Every decision you make drains a little bit of it. Should I check my phone? Should I eat this? Should I take this trade? By the afternoon, your willpower battery is half empty. By evening, it's nearly dead. And that's when the bad decisions happen. This is why most traders blow up in the evening session. Not because the evening market is harder, because their willpower is depleted and they start making emotional decisions. They've been fighting their impulses all day and they're exhausted. So when that marginal setup appears at 7 p.m., they don't have the willpower left to skip it. They take it, it loses. Now they're tilted. They revenge trade. The account takes damage. You cannot build a trading career on willpower. It's not reliable. What you need instead are systems, external structures that remove decisions, structures that enforce the right behavior even when you don't feel like executing it. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine you're trying to lose weight. You could rely on willpower. Every time you see a cookie, you tell yourself no. Every time you're tired, you force yourself to go to the gym. This works for a few days, maybe a week. Then willpower fails and you eat the cookie. Skip the gym. You're back where you started. Or you could build systems. You don't keep cookies in your house. Can't eat what's not there. You schedule your gym sessions in the morning before willpower gets depleted. You meal prep on Sundays so healthy food is the default option all week. These systems remove the need for willpower. The right behavior happens automatically. Trading works the same way. You need systems that make consistency the default. Systems that remove emotion from the equation. Systems that turn good behavior into automatic behavior. And I'm going to give you the exact systems that transformed me from inconsistent Alex into consistent Jordan. These aren't suggestions, these are non-negotiable structures, and if you implement them, your behavior will stabilize. And when your behavior stabilizes, your results follow. System number one is the pre-trade protocol. This is a checklist you complete before every single trade, not most trades, every trade. And if you can't answer yes to every question on this checklist, you don't take the trade. Period. No exceptions, no negotiations. Here's the protocol. Question 1. Does this setup match all of my criteria? Not most of them. Not 80% of them. All of them. If your strategy requires 3 confirmations and you only see 2, the answer is no. You don't take the trade. Question 2. Is this my designated trading session? If you trade the New York session and it's currently the Asian session, the answer is no. Doesn't matter how good the setup looks, wrong time means no trade. Question 3. Am I emotionally neutral right now? Not happy, not sad, neutral. If you just took a big win and you're feeling invincible, the answer is no. If you just took a loss and you're feeling desperate to recover, the answer is no. If you're bored and just want to do something, the answer is no. You only trade from neutral. This protocol removes emotion from the decision. You're not asking yourself, do I feel like trading? You're asking, does this situation meet my predefined criteria? And if it doesn't, you wait for one that does. When I implemented this protocol, my bad trades dropped by 70% immediately. 70%. Because most of my bad trades came from skipping this check. I'd see something move, get excited, and just click. That's gone now. Protocol or no trade. That's the rule. Here's what makes this system powerful. It creates a pause between impulse and action. That pause is where discipline lives. Without the pause, you're just reacting. With the pause, you're executing a process. And process beats emotion every single time. I keep this protocol printed out next to my monitor. I physically check off each question before I enter. Some traders think this is excessive. Those traders also blow up their accounts regularly. The ones who follow the protocol, they're still here years later, consistently profitable. System number 2 is fixed position size always. You pick one number. Could be 1%, could be 0.5%, could be 2% depending on your risk tolerance. But you pick one number and you never change it. Ever. You don't size up because you're confident. You don't size down because you're scared. You don't increase because you're on a winning streak. You don't decrease because you're on a losing streak. Same size every single trade regardless of how you feel. This removes one of the biggest sources of inconsistency. When position size changes based on emotion, you're gambling. When position size is fixed, you're trading. It's that simple. I risk 1% per trade. Always. Winning or losing. Confident or terrified. Doesn't matter. 1%. And because that decision is already made, I never have to think about it. It's not a choice. It's a constant. One less variable that emotions can hijack. Here's what happens when you don't have the system. You take a big win. You feel great. Next trade, you think I should risk more to capitalize on this momentum. You risk 3%, it loses. You just gave back 3 wins worth of progress in one trade. Now you're tilted. Now you're making emotional decisions. The spiral begins. Or you take 2 losses. You're scared. Next trade, you risk 0.5% because you're protecting your account. It wins but barely moves the needle. You needed a full risk win to recover, but you didn't take it because emotion controlled your position size. Fixed position size eliminates this chaos. Every trade has the same weight. Every win contributes the same amount. Every loss costs the same amount. Your equity curve becomes predictable because your risk is constant. And predictability is what you're actually chasing, not massive wins. Predictable small wins that compound over time. That's the game. System number 3 is the daily trade limit. You pick a maximum number of trades per day and you make it a hard stop. Could be 3 trades, could be 5 trades. Depends on your strategy and your schedule. But you pick a number, and when you hit that number, you close your platform. Even if you're winning, even if another setup appears, even if you feel amazing, you stop. This system protects you from overtrading. Because here's what most traders don't realize. You don't blow up on trade 1, you blow up on trade 7, 8, 9, when you're mentally exhausted and making emotional decisions. Your brain has limited processing power. Every trade requires focus, analysis, execution, emotional regulation. By trade 6 or 7, you're running on fumes. Your decision quality drops. You start seeing setups that aren't there. You start taking trades just because you're in the rhythm of clicking buttons. This is when the damage happens. The trade limit forces selectivity. When you know you only get 3 trades for the day, you don't waste them on marginal setups. You wait for the absolute best ones, and because you're waiting, you're fresh when they appear. Your first trade gets your best mental state. Your third trade still gets decent mental state. But trade 7? Trade 7 gets garbage mental state. So we never get to trade 7. My limit is 3 trades per day. Some days I take all 3. Some days I take 2. Some days I take 1. Some days 0. But I never take 4. Never. Because I've tracked this. I've journaled hundreds of trades. And trade 4 is always emotional. Always worse quality than trades 1 through 3. Always taken because I'm bored or restless or trying to make up for something. Never taken because it actually meets my criteria. So trade 4 doesn't exist in my world anymore. 3 and done. This one rule probably added 10% to my annual returns just by eliminating the stupid trades I used to take when I was mentally tired. System number 4 is mandatory journaling between trades. You cannot take your second trade until you've journaled your first trade. You cannot take your third trade until you've journaled your second trade. This creates a forced pause between executions, a moment where you have to stop and reflect. Here's what you journal. What setup did I see? Why did I take this trade? What was I feeling when I clicked the button? What's the result? This takes 90 seconds. 90 seconds between trades. But those 90 seconds catch emotional spirals before they destroy you. I can't tell you how many times I've sat down to journal a trade and realized I was about to make the exact same mistake again. I'd write, I took this trade because I was bored. And as I'm writing those words, I realize, oh, my next trade is also about boredom, not about my setup appearing. The act of writing forces awareness, and awareness stops the pattern. Without this system, I'd take 5 emotional trades in a row without even realizing it. I'd be on autopilot. Click, 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 click. Then I'd look at my account and see massive damage and have no idea how it happened. With this system, I catch it after 1 trade. I journal trade 1. I see the emotion. I recognize the pattern. I stop before taking trade 2. This system also builds your database of self-knowledge. After 6 months of journaling, you'll see patterns you couldn't see in the moment. You'll notice I always break my rules after 2 losses in a row, or I always overtrade after a big win, or I always force trades when the market is slow. Once you see the pattern, you can create a rule. I discovered I always mess up after 2 losses. Always. So I created a new rule. After 2 losses, I'm done for the day. No third trade. Doesn't matter if my perfect setup appears. I stop. Because my behavior after 2 losses is never clean. That one insight saved me thousands of dollars, and I only found it through consistent journaling. System number 5 is the weekly behavior review. Every Sunday, you review your entire week, but you're not reviewing your trades to analyze setups. You're reviewing your trades to analyze your behavior. When did you follow your rules? When did you break them? What triggered the breaks? This is where you zoom out and see the bigger picture. Daily journaling catches patterns trade to trade. Weekly review catches patterns week to week. You might notice you always have a rough Tuesday. Why? What's different about Tuesday? Maybe you're rushing because you have other commitments. Now you can adjust. Maybe don't trade Tuesdays. Or if you do, only take one trade maximum. Or you might notice you always have a great first week of the month and a rough last week. Why? Maybe the end of the month creates financial stress that bleeds into your trading. Now you know. You can create rules around that. Maybe reduce position size the last week of the month. Or take fewer trades. The weekly review is also where you celebrate wins. Not trading wins. Behavior wins. Did you follow your protocol every single trade this week? That's a win. Celebrate it. Did you stick to your trade limit every day? That's a win. Celebrate it. Did you journal between every trade? That's a win. Celebrate it. Most traders only celebrate profitable weeks, but profitable weeks are outcomes. You can't control outcomes. You can only control behavior. So celebrate the behavior. Because when you reinforce good behavior, you get more of it. I spend 30 minutes every Sunday on this review. I look at every trade. I identify every rule break. I look for patterns. I write down what I'm going to focus on this coming week. This practice has transformed my trading more than any technical analysis ever did, because it keeps me focused on the only thing I can actually control: my behavior. Now let me tell you what happened when I implemented these 5 systems, because I want you to have realistic expectations. This isn't a quick fix. This is a 6-month commitment to becoming a different trader. Month 1 was brutal. Everything felt restrictive. I wanted to break the rules constantly. I felt like the systems were slowing me down. I felt like I was missing opportunities because I had to check my protocol or stick to my trade limit. My brain was fighting me every single day. Month 2, small shifts started appearing. I noticed I was taking fewer stupid trades. My emotional swings were less extreme. I wasn't there yet, but I could feel something changing. Month 3, the system started feeling less like rules I was forcing myself to follow and more like just how I trade. The protocol became automatic. The trade limit didn't feel restrictive anymore. It felt protective, like it was saving me from myself. Month 4, my results started reflecting my behavior. My account stopped swinging wildly. Small, steady growth. Nothing dramatic, but consistent. And consistency felt better than any massive win ever did, because I knew it was sustainable. Month 5, I realized something had fundamentally changed. I didn't need to force discipline anymore. The systems were just who I was now. They weren't external rules. They were internal standards. I'd become a different trader. Month 6, I achieved what I'd been chasing for 3 years. Real consistency. Good days didn't make me reckless. Bad days didn't make me fearful. I was the same trader every single day. Same prep, same rules, same execution. And my results proved it. Not perfect, but consistent, profitable, sustainable. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Consistency isn't exciting. It doesn't feel like progress. It feels boring, repetitive, like you're doing the same thing over and over, because you are. That's the entire point. The market rewards boring. It punishes excitement. When trading feels exciting, you're reacting to emotions. When trading feels boring, you're executing a process. And process is what pays, not excitement, not variety, not creativity. Process. I know you want the magic strategy, the secret indicator, the pattern that works every time. But that's not what separates winners from losers in this game. What separates them is consistency, the ability to do the same thing the same way every single day, regardless of how you feel. Look at any legendary trader. Ed Sikota turned $5,000 into $15 million. People always ask what his strategy was. Trend following, simple breakouts, nothing secret. But here's what made him different. He traded the same way for 30 years. Same rules, same execution. He didn't change his approach after every drawdown. He didn't optimize after every loss. He stayed the same, and that consistency compounded into generational wealth. Paul Tudor Jones made 200% returns in 1987 when the market crashed 22% in one day. What separated him from everyone else? Not intelligence, consistency. He had a preparation routine he did every morning. He had rules he followed no matter what. When chaos hit, he didn't panic and change everything. He executed his process, the same process he'd been executing for years. While other traders were scrambling and breaking their own rules, Jones stayed consistent. And consistency wins when everyone else is in chaos. These aren't stories about genius. These are stories about discipline, about showing up the same way every single day. That's what separates professionals from gamblers. Not strategy, consistency. So here's my challenge to you. Stop changing your strategy after every loss. Stop optimizing after every bad week. Stop looking for something better when what you have is already good enough. Your problem isn't your strategy. Your problem is you can't execute your strategy consistently. Build these 5 systems: pre-trade protocol, fixed position size, daily trade limit, mandatory journaling, weekly behavior review. Make them non-negotiable, then execute them for 6 months without changing anything. Win or lose, up or down, confident or scared. Show up the same prep, same rules, same execution. Be boring on purpose and watch what happens. Your behavior will stabilize first, then your results will follow. Not immediately, but eventually. Because consistency always compounds. And compounding is how you actually win this game. The consistency problem isn't about the market. It's about you. Can you be the same trader after a win as you are after a loss? Can you follow your rules when you're bored? Can you execute your plan when you're scared? Can you stay disciplined when you're confident? That's the test. And it's the only test that matters. Pass it and you join the 5% who make it. Fail it and you join the 95% who don't. The choice is yours. Build the systems. Become consistent. Or keep experiencing the same cycle of buildup and collapse that's defined your trading for however long you've been doing this. One path leads to profitability. The other leads nowhere.